Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Mystery Writer speaking, and welcome to the review. Yeah, I just watched the live action Pinocchio movie. So, for a little bit of context, the original Pinocchio is not just one of my favorite animated films of all time, it's also one of my favorite films of all time, period. So, when I heard that they were making a live action remake, I was hesitant. This is because the live action Disney remakes have not had the best track record. I mean, we've had some good, really good live action remakes like the Cinderella one or the Jungle Book one. Those are great movies. Heck, even the Aladdin one wasn't too bad. But then we gotten some real stinkers like Beauty and the Beast, Milan, and especially The Lion King. But ladies and gentlemen, everything you've heard about the Pinocchio live action remake is true. Yeah, you see that 30% on Rotten Tomatoes right there? Yeah, that's being generous. That's being generous because this movie, in my honest opinion, is just as bad as Morbius. That's right, it's just as bad as Morbius. How do you screw up Pinocchio? It's not that hard of a story to screw up. This is one of those movies that legitimately made me angry. The fact that they screwed it up so royally pisses me off. So I'm not even going to bother with the plot summary because if you've seen the original movie, you know exactly what happens. Pinocchio comes to life, he is led astray, he joins a puppet show. He escapes from the puppet show. He ends up going to Pleasure Island. He escapes from Pleasure Island. And then he goes to save his father from a giant sea monster whale thing. In the original movie, it's a whale, but for some reason, they turned Monstro into a tentacle monster? What? Why? Why couldn't we just have him be a regular whale? Not only does he have tentacles, but he also has gills. The whale monster has gills. The whale monster has gills. The whale monster has gills. Why does the whale monster have gills? Yeah, question. If the giant sea monster has gills, how can he surface? Is he amphibious or what? What? On top of that, why does he have tentacles? Just have him be a whale. It's like if they took the idea of Jonah and the whale and took away the whale and made it some sort of mythological sea creature. It doesn't work! With the Lion King remake, for example. First of all, that movie is a boring piece of crap, but it did have a lot of potential. And it's one of those rare remakes in where they're trying to recreate everything from the original movie, it sucked at. When it tried to do all the original songs, it sucked at it. Everything that it tried to copy from the original movie just fell flat on its face. But the new stuff that they added to The Lion King surprisingly worked. Like Nala's escape from Pride Rock, the line of indifference speech that Timon and Pumbaa say, the Simba. Yeah, that stuff actually kind of worked. Here, in the Pinocchio remake, they try that a lot, and none of it works. The recreations fall completely flat on their face, and all the new stuff is just lazy tack-ons that don't work. For example, this random girl, what's her name? I don't even remember her name because she's barely in the movie. She's a puppeteer at Stromboli's traveling show, and she controls this ballerina puppet, Sabina. Yeah, I remember the puppet's name more than the puppeteer's name. That's how little I care. They have that character in the movie, but she barely does anything. You'll get that a lot in this movie because characters just kind of randomly come and go throughout and leave very little impact. Like, You see the fox and the cat character. They're in like 2 scenes and you never see them again. And Stromboli, he has his moments, but he's gone as well. We know he goes to jail, sure, but whatever. And then we get ballerina puppet and her puppeteer, which is also really weird because I don't understand if the puppeteer is doing the puppet's voice or the puppet is also alive. I don't get it. It doesn't work. It I don't understand it. Like there's even one point in where it sounds like they both speak at the same time. What? Why? So is the puppet alive too? Or is the ballerina puppet alive as well? Or is she like the best ventriloquist ever? You also get a bunch of the same problems with all the other mediocre, terrible Disney live action remakes. Crappy, cheesy, melodramatic dialogue, terrible writing, subpar acting, especially from Tom Hanks. Yeah, the acting ranges from meh to Tom Hanks, go home, you're drunk. I just saw you in the Elvis biopic movie, which, again, I also thought was a terrible movie. I know a lot of people really enjoyed that movie, but personally, I thought it was terrible. And Tom Hanks was the worst thing in that movie. I think we can all agree that Tom Hanks was the worst thing in that movie. But yeah, Tom Hanks, congratulations. You topped yourself. You topped yourself. You topped yourself of an even worse performance. Good job. Good job, Tom Hanks. You had not one, but 2 terrible performances in 1 year. And they're pretty much the same performance. It's like you're struggling through some sort of weird accent and you're mumbling through half your lines. Except in the Geppetto role, you're yelling half the time. This movie is supposed to be based in Italy, but very few of the characters actually have Italian accents. I mean, we got Stromboli, who has an Italian accent, and we had the schoolmaster character, who's very briefly in the movie, with a really, really cliche and stereotypical Italian accent. But then we get a bunch of British accents, American accents, and whatever Tom Hanks is trying to do. I don't know what he was trying to do. Whatever Jiminy Cricket was supposed to be. Southern, I think? Oh, I come straight from the bayou. Oh, watch out, Pinocchio. Why is Jiminy Cricket Southern? Or is it that he was always Southern, but the actor playing Jiminy Cricket is struggling with a Southern accent? I really don't know. I don't know. But either way, it wasn't good. Another thing with Disney remakes is that they have a tendency to over-explain. For some reason, modern Hollywood thinks children are dumb. I, for one, am an uncle. I have 3 nephews and one 1-year-old niece. And I can tell you, kids are not dumb. They're actually quite smart. They catch on very quickly. Stop writing your movies to the point in where you're over-explaining everything. It's annoying. It's not clever. It's just annoying. Like, for example, the guy taking all the kids to Pleasure Island, he subtly calls it a transformative experience. Really? A transformative experience, you say? Yeah, that's kind of like saying that, oh, I definitely have a shiny spot off the top of my head. You're just pointing out the obvious. That's all you're doing. You're having your characters point out the obvious. Over and 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 over again for almost 2 hours. Why? Audiences are not that dumb. I know there are some idiots out there that live out there in the world. Sure, there are a lot of people that are dumb, but not everyone is stupid. Not everyone needs to be spoon-fed the moral of the frickin' story. Just leave some stuff for the audience to figure out on their own. You don't need to spoon-feed them. Be subtle. This movie has no concept of subtlety whatsoever. It's just constant. Oh, looks like you learned this. Oh, it looks like you learned that. Oh, just shut up for 5 minutes, please. You're not as smart as you think you are. You're just dumb, lazy writing. You're just dumb, generic writing in all of its terrible, terrible blandness. That's not even the worst of it. Oh no, it gets worse. Much worse. Originally, I was going to give this film a 2 out of 5. I thought that might have been fair. I pretty much by the point it got to the end, it was generic Disney assembly line crap. A lot of it felt like it belonged more on the Disney Channel than it did an actual movie, an actual theatrical movie, which luckily this film ended up on Disney Plus, so I didn't waste any money seeing it. Yeah, yeah, but the so-called Easter eggs, yeah, they don't make sense whatsoever. A lot of the cuckoo clocks in Geppetto's shop have Disney and Pixar characters in them, and a lot of them don't make sense because those were from different time periods. I mean, I can understand the Sleeping Beauty one. I can understand Donald Duck. Sure, I can understand a lot of them, but then you got Dumbo, that's supposed to be from the 1930s. Roger Rabbit and his wife Jessica. Woody from Toy Story. What time period is this movie? Were cowboys a thing? I mean, I appreciate a good background Easter egg, but when the movie zooms in on these Easter eggs, it shoves them in your face. It'd be like, ooh, ooh, look what we have here. Ooh, 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 it's Woody from Toy Story. Ooh, Sleeping Beauty. Oh, Dumbo. Donald Duck. Ooh. It's annoying, and it doesn't make any sense. Next thing I need to mention is the foreshadowing. Remember what I said about this movie having no concept of subtlety? Yeah, this is why. At the beginning of the movie, we were introduced to Geppetto, and apparently he has a dead son. By the way, this plays absolutely no part in the movie whatsoever. Or his dead wife. Oh yeah, he also has a dead wife. And again, doesn't really play into the movie all that much, so why even have it? But yeah, apparently there's this guy that wants to buy all his cuckoo clocks or whatever, and Geppetto won't sell them because his dead wife loved them all. Yeah, you can already tell where this is going, don't you? Yeah, we all know. Yeah, Disney, we all know where this is going. We all know Geppetto's going to sell all his clocks to go find Pinocchio. As soon as you say it, we already know because it's so freaking obvious! And it's like that throughout the entire movie. Like I said before, with the whole Pleasure Island thing, a transformative experience. Yeah, that guy right there might as well go around with a shirt saying, I definitely won't turn you into a donkey. It was that frickin' subtle. And then, and then they mentioned Monstro at one point. Oh, Monstro. Oh, they mentioned Monstro before Monstro shows up. Oh, I wonder if Monstro's going to show up. Oh, look, Monstro shows up. Oh, what a kawiki-dink. What a kawiki-dink. There's also the matter of the beginning. Yeah, you remember in the original movie, and we zoom in through the village all the way to Geppetto's shop. The method that they use to make that sequence is called a multiplane. Basically, they have multiple layers of glass panels that were all painted with backgrounds and stuff, and they dropped a camera very slowly through that, and then pulled away the glass panes to create that illusion. It's a beautiful sequence. Probably one of the best sequences all in Disney. And this remake pretty much went around and said, screw that noise. Let's just watch Jiminy Cricket walk down a freaking dark street. Doesn't that sound fun? Watching Jiminy Cricket as he's talking to his future self for some weird reason, walking down a dark street. And finally, there's the ending. Originally, I was going to give this movie a 2 out of 5. Well below average, but it was generic assembly line Disney at its most basic form up to the ending. But it was the ending that made things even worse. It made my blood boil to the point in where I am hours later still pissed off. You know the whole story about Pinocchio, right? He's supposed to learn how to be selfless, brave, and honest in order to become a real boy. Well, in this version of Pinocchio, He learns his lessons, he learns to cherish those core values, and he stays a puppet. What? I'm sorry, what? That's right, he stays a puppet. Congratulations, you just made the biggest middle finger to the original movie. At the last minute, they tacked on this moral of learning to accept your son or whatever. I get it. You know, acceptance, learning to accept people who are different. Yeah, I get it. I get it. I get it. Uh-huh. Yeah. A father learning to accept his son for who he is. Yeah. I can relate to that on a personal level. Yeah, I get that, except for one thing. The story was never about Geppetto! We followed Pinocchio through pretty much the entire story. Geppetto was barely in it. This last minute moral makes no sense story wise. What, did he not want to spend the money on an extra actor? Okay, I know. In the very original version of Pinocchio that the first movie was based off, Pinocchio doesn't turn into a real boy either. And actually, he's hung from a tree with a noose by an angry mob. Did I mention that the original story is very dark? But Disney's Pinocchio is, you know, it's a sugar-coated version of the original story, and that he wanted to be a real boy so badly, and he learned his lesson. He earned the right to become a real boy, and he became a real boy. And the remake, it just kind of looks like the Blue Fairy's kind of slacking on the job. So, and they try to pass it off like, oh, this is what Geppetto wanted all along. He wanted a wooden boy? He wanted a wooden boy. You see why I hate this movie? It's just dumb. This movie is dumb. If this is stupid and you know it, clap your hands. If this is stupid and you know it, clap your hands. If this is stupid and you know it, and you really want to show it. If this is stupid and you know it, clap your hands. Yeah, it's pretty stupid. Very, very stupid. I hate this movie. This movie has absolutely no right to exist. This movie is a waste of time. I hardly would call it a movie. Although I will say this, it does technically have a better story than Morbius. If that's any consolation. Yeah, I mean, it had the better story, it had the better characters, and it had the better special effects. Although, to be fair, the special effects were a mixed bag at best. Oh, I mean, of course, if you're going to give this movie a 2 originally, there must have been some good things about it, right? Well, I mean, some of the jokes did land. Not all of them. I literally gasped in horror at what they did with Jiminy Cricket at one point. Yeah. You remember that one part in Toy Story 2 and where Buzz's wings shoot out when he's impressed with Jesse at the end of the movie? Yeah, they do that kind of joke in this movie, in the Pinocchio remake. Yeah, except again, no subtlety whatsoever. Yeah, his umbrella's between his legs on the ground. It opens up. It looks like he has a dick. They gave Jiminy Cricket a dick joke. Okay, I know there were some adult jokes in the original movie, like that one point in where Jiminy accidentally rests his hands on a statue of a woman's butt. Yeah, and they recreate that in this movie too. But at least that was actually funny. Having Jiminy Cricket become aroused by the Blue Fairy and have absolutely no subtlety to it whatsoever is very uncomfortable. In fact, I would say that's borderline Rule 34 territory. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But like I said, the special effects aren't that bad. They're a mixed bag. Pinocchio can be off-putting at times, and he doesn't really look like he fits the environment that well. But I can appreciate that they tried to retain his original appearance to some extent. And like I said, some of the jokes landed. I actually caught me off guard a little bit, and sometimes like, oh, okay, yeah, good job, movie, good job, you made me laugh, good job. But that's about it. That's really all the movie has going for it. A couple of good laughs, and some decent special effects here and there. Apart from that, this movie is a complete and utter waste of time that was obviously dumped on Disney Plus because the studio executives knew that this movie was going to be a stinker. In my honest opinion, it's just as bad as Morbius. So I'm giving it a 1.5 out of 5. It is not worth your time. Heck, I feel like I have gone insane from watching this terrible movie. It has given me such a headache. That's how bad this experience has been. But I've rambled on long enough. I have a lot of editing to do with this stupid video over this stupid movie. I really want to watch the original just to wash my mouth from the poisonous garbage that was this artificial, assembly line crap of a remake. This has been the Mr. Writer speaking. And until next time, don't watch Pinocchio 2022. Please don't. You'll regret it.